Nicolas Maduro is willing to tell everything in order to reduce his sentence. The entire Latin American left is in total panic. And the thing is, Nicolas Maduro is willing to talk because he's living a hell in prison. Stay tuned. According to the revelation by Venezuelan journalist Homero Vascan, Nicolas Maduro is willing to talk. The Venezuelan dictator would reveal the electoral fraud and thefts committed by Chavismo in Venezuela. The goal would be to expose those involved in these acts in order to become a protected witness. Maduro's tactic is to reduce his sentence in exchange for strong information. Let's see, I hope that's the case. Look, I don't want Nicolas Maduro to get out of jail. On the contrary, I want him to rot and spend the rest of his life behind bars in prison. But could he reach some kind of deal? Why would he turn in many of these criminals? Because guys, the reality is that there are a lot of extremely corrupt people, politicians, who have collaborated with Nicolas Maduro from several governments, from several countries, all around Latin America. Just imagine if Nicolas Maduro exposed all of them, it would be wonderful, right? Because all of them turned their backs on him. So now, why should Nicolas Maduro owe them any loyalty, I wonder? I hope Nicolas Maduro betrays them and in exchange gets, I don't know, a television in prison, a slightly more comfortable bed, a better pillow, occasionally some better food, something, right? That he reaches some kind of deal but exposes all of them. I'm really happy now. Here they're telling us the coming explosion. Maduro wants to turn everyone in to become a protected witness. Wow, that would be wonderful. Just think about it, guys. The truth is that Nicolas Maduro, we've always said this, was a puppet. Look, Nicolas Maduro was almost like an employee of Diosdado Cabello. That's the reality. That doesn't mean he's not a thief. That doesn't mean he's not corrupt or a criminal. It just means that he wasn't the person in charge of Chavismo. He was simply the visible face, that's all. But anyway, here we have comments from the well-known lawyer and friend of Donald Trump. I mean, I want you to consider this. Several sources are now saying Nicolas Maduro will speak out and expose everyone, huh? Even Trump's own lawyer has said it, the one who gave an interview to the media. Also, he shocked everyone with his statements about Nicolas Maduro. He shocked everyone with his statements about Nicolas Maduro. Not even by going to a maximum security prison. Insecurity for the rest of his life, which is hell. The other option. And that's why even the lawyer... I agree with that, huh? I'm 100% sure that Nicolas Maduro knows too much, lawyer, what was said, and he could burn a lot of people. Really? No, this would be brutal. The fear of Lula, Pedro Sanchez, Petro, and Sheinbaum. They say here that Maduro is going to sing like a canary? No. A complete madness, guys. This would be extremely brutal, a historic moment, and let's hope it happens, and it's very obvious and evident. Look, guys, Nicolas Maduro is going completely crazy in prison. The guy is losing his mind in jail. Please, let's remember this. Maduro broke down, he went crazy in jail. Look.
Ah, this is beautiful, beautiful. Madurito went crazy. Maduro broke down in jail. To think that, as we see there in the image, he used to dance, put on a show, give some money to his wife, and that's how he uploaded TikToks. He used to speak from a beach, taking a bath, eating the greatest delicacies and treats in the world, and now he's going crazy from being locked up in jail.
Of course, every morning he shouts that he's the president of Venezuela. He says, "I'm the president, bring me the United Nations secretary, I'm the president." He spends every night screaming like a madman.
Karma, karma, karma. Really intense.
Definitely, but watch out, this isn't all, guys. It turns out things are getting worse for Nicolas Maduro. Please pay attention. Breaking news. United States Attorney's Office delivers a harsh legal blow to the narco tyrant Nicolas Maduro and his narco wife Silvia Flores. The attorney's office rejects the attempt to withdraw the charges for being narco criminals and blocks the use of regime funds for their defense. Maduro remains in prison. Delicious, that's definitely what this means. Well, basically, Nicolas Maduro won't be able to use the money he stole from the Venezuelan people for his defense. He's going to rot in prison. And that's wonderful. Now here they confirm it for us. Look, the Trump administration blocks Maduro's attempt to use Venezuelan government funds to pay legal fees. You see, that Venezuelan government fund is actually money stolen at gunpoint. Watch. Torno will allow the former dictator to play by his own rules, not even from prison, thus maintaining his influence over Caracas. He screwed it up, whether it's Nicolas Maduro, he's finished. In fact, they tell us that here too. Look, judicial attention, the United States Attorney's Office has just rejected the desperate maneuver by Nicolas Maduro and Silvia Flores. It refuses to drop the charges for being narco-criminals and prohibits them from using regime funds to pay expensive lawyers. Their game is over, he and his wife are left with no way out and no money to defend themselves. That's wonderful. American justice does not negotiate with narco-dictators. Maduro is behind bars in the United States. And counting the days, Maduro, you had the cards on the table. Donald Trump gave you the opportunity to negotiate, to talk with him, to leave on good terms. Trump even told you, you will leave on good terms or on bad terms, but you will leave power. We are going to remove you. So you decide. Either you leave on good terms and go live a life of luxury. The Venezuelan, because nothing will happen with a Venezuelan woman, the Venezuelan government won't do anything. Venezuelan justice and the Venezuelan government won't be able to do anything. Donald Trump wouldn't dare. And well, now he's paying a high price. And while Maduro is going crazy in prison, the world has already forgotten him. To the point that, listen up, breaking news, the flag of the United States was raised today at the United States Embassy in Caracas. For the first time in 7 years, Venezuela is being liberated by Donald Trump and his entire administration, which has Chavismo on its knees. They didn't believe, I remind you, Venezuelan justice won't be able to do anything, the Venezuelan government can't act. He would dare. He's Maduro, United States Venezuelan. They'll speak God's words. Diosdado Cabello too. The gringos entered, took their dictator, Venezuelan, and the government. United States government flag. Even so, and Nicolas Maduro is there, he's there. They even took Maduro's wife. Simply brutal. In fact, here they tell us the end of an era of impunity. Silvia Flores, the woman who controlled the strings of justice in Venezuela for decades, a criminal. By the way, today she faces a system she can't manipulate. The images of her appearance with bruises and bandages reveal the harsh reality of her detention, alone, cut off from communication, from Maduro. Even though they're in the same building and without access to her ill-gotten fortune, her mental health is starting to take a toll. Oh, Silvia Flores apparently is also going crazy. Will she be able to withstand the isolation of the maximum security unit? The collapse of an identity built on fear is imminent. I mean, I want you to imagine how Silvia Flores must be feeling, huh? I mean, the woman must be totally destroyed, really destroyed. I don't think we're aware of it. We don't realize the magnitude. Let me remind you that when these two criminals were arrested, when they were paraded around New York, Nicolas Maduro still looked like this, looking at the buildings and everything. On the other hand, Silvia Flores looked totally devastated. She looked like a harmless old lady, even though she's not. She's a criminal, but it's brutal. This woman must really be in a very, very bad state. And look, I know it sounds bad, right? Because at the end of the day, you shouldn't say anything bad about human beings. But this woman did a lot of harm to the Venezuelan people. A lot. She's not just someone who has a different political ideology than mine. I swear to you that, for example, if this were Joe Biden, I wouldn't talk like this about Joe Biden. But the thing is, she's a narco-criminal. She's a narco-tyrant. It's not just that I don't like her. She's a criminal who lived off the suffering of millions of people, destroyed lives, destroyed families. And that's why I think she's where she deserves to be, going crazy in prison. And well, Maduro, more of the same. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and see you next time.